Welcome back to FM Live. My name is Mike, and today we're going to talk about speed bleeders. Not just any regular bleeder, they're really fast. No, they are fast, but they're not fast as far as making the car go faster. It's making your maintenance go faster. So you might have heard about speed bleeders, or if you haven't, you're like, what the heck, why do I care what a different kind of bleeder is? So we're going to cover that today. What are they? Why would you want speed bleeders in your car? What makes them better than normal bleeders? So just to kind of show you what a speed bleeder is, it's not anything different than what a normal bleeder looks like, really, except that these do have a slightly different looking end to them if you look closely, but otherwise they look just like normal bleeders. These ones also, you can see that they have some Teflon thread paste on them, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. But what a speed bleeder is it replaces your regular speed bleeder, and it allows you to do your brake bleeding process or even your clutch bleeding process by yourself. You don't have to go into the kitchen, find your wife or your girlfriend or whomever, and ask them to sit in the driver's seat and pump the brake pedal. You don't have to try to bother them to do that. You can do it all on your own. So this is really just a maintenance, ease of use kind of upgrade. I really like them. I've got them on my car. I'll show you how to use them. It's real easy. I'll try to cover as many of the topics that we got asked questions about for these speed bleeders throughout the video. If I don't get to your question by the end of the video, please leave us a comment below, and we will answer it either at the end of the video or in the comments after the video has been uploaded. So, the speed bleeders, these guys are just that easy. They thread in just like the stock speed bleeders do. This is something that obviously when you take them out, take your stock ones out, you're going to lose fluid. So you are going to also want to plan on doing a brake flush at the same time. So pick you up some of the quality brake line fluid. We like using Redline. We are a Redline dealer. You want to get a .3 or a .4 brake fluid. They're both compatible with Miatas, NAs, NBs, NCs, and Ds. If you are wanting to do this for any kind of track application, if you know what you're doing, there's other options, but really 99% of people focus on .3 or .4. .4 is the same kind of stuff as .3, just with higher boiling points. So if you take your car to the track or autocross, it's a good idea to get .4. So got your fluid. You'll need to have a container of sorts to be able to catch the old fluid. You'll need a wrench, so that way you can install the new bleeders after you remove the old ones. You'll probably need a couple of wrenches because the hexes aren't generally the same size. And then, of course, if you're like me, you'll need at least a few rags because you'll probably make a mess. But that's it. Very simple tool list, very easy to use. So let's go over here to the car and we'll just get right into it. Let's show you what it is to use speed bleeders and how to install them. So first things first, we've got the car up in the air. I've got the wheels off the car. And the other thing that you should do is pop the hood. Let me do that real quick. Because you will need to have access to your brake fluid reservoir. Obviously, when you're flushing out fluid, you want to be able to replace this. Mine is actually fairly fresh, so I'm not going to be draining the reservoir, but if you've got really old fluid in here, what you can do is use a turkey baster or some kind of a pipette and suck out all the old stuff, put it in your catch can, your container, if you will, so that way you can dispose of it properly later. And then you top this off with your new brake fluid. Get some high quality synthetic stuff. And this is something you want to keep an eye on as you're doing the bleeding process. So you don't want to run out of brake fluid in your reservoir because then you've got bubbles in your line and you'll have to start all over again. So on these guys, if you're bleeding your brakes on an NA or NB, you actually would normally start at the passenger rear and then work your way counterclockwise around the car, and this would be the last one you do. But for ease of showing you what it is and how to work it, we're going to show you on the front brake caliper here. So on these calipers, you can sort of see that These guys right here, I'll stick my fingers behind them so it's easier to see them with the camera. I already have the speed bleeders installed. They're a little dirty, so pay no mind to the little bit of crusty stuff there. But these have been on the car for a couple of years now, actually. I really like them. They're very handy to be able to use, and you don't have to have any help, like I mentioned before. But they look just like the stock ones when they're in place. They're just bleeders. Now, the clever part about them that I'll show you in a bit is that they work just like the stock ones. They've got these nifty little covers just to keep dirt and debris from getting in the end of them. If you lose these are pretty easy to get at local auto parts stores. We did have some questions about how to keep the ends of these clean. But otherwise, once you take out your stock ones, you thread these guys in there, you tighten them down just like you would the stock ones. And now when we bleed it, what we'll do is break it loose. Whoops, use this end. So we'll get the wrench on here, break it loose. Before we do that, though, let me get our clear hose. You don't have to use a clear or transparent hose, but it really helps so that way you can see the brake fluid and also see if you have any bubbles that are coming through. There we go. Got this one pinched. All right, so I've just shoved it on the bulb end of the bleeder right here. And then I'm just going to break this free about a quarter of a turn or so. And you can see that even though I loosened it up, there's no brake fluid. It's dry. It's not leaking. And if you were to do this, excuse me, if you were to do this with normal stock bleeders, you would actually start weeping some brake fluid here. And that thread paste that I mentioned earlier is why it's not weeping. So it is loose. The surfaces, the actual sealing surfaces are loose, but we don't have anything there that we need to worry about as far as it dribbling on the floor. Now, there we go. Now I'm going to jump in the car and I'm going to smash the brake a few times. So, easy enough. Now you can watch the bubbles. I'm going to apply even, steady pressure to the brake pedal. And you should see the fluid start to flow. And there's probably not too many bubbles going on. There may be a few, but this system has actually been pretty decent. I've done this not too long ago. All right. What do we have here? Yeah, we're totally clear. So, awesome. And then once you're done, see, I'm not in the car. Nobody's pressing the brake pedal down. There's still no brake fluid that's leaking out here. There's a check valve on the inside. So I don't have to hold down the brake pedal to be able to keep air from going back in. And there's no air getting back in through here past the threads because of that thread sealant. But now that I pumped it a few times, jumped out, confirmed that we don't have any bubbles in this tube, then all I have to do now is snug this back up. Okay, just like that, easy peasy. And then make sure that you don't spill all over yourself. Grab the end of the hose with a rag, just like that. And then get your nifty little cover, pop it right back on there. That's it, you're done with that corner. So you would just repeat this process on each one of the four corners, starting with, again, NAs and NBs. You start with the driver side rear, passenger rear, passenger front, driver side front. And the reason we do that on NAs and NBs is because you want to start with the longest length of brake line in the car. So on the NAs and NBs, the furthest caliper away brake line wise from your master cylinder is the driver's side rear. Now, of course, when we do this, let me put this off to the side real quick. your fluid has gone down. So you can see that my level's about halfway right now, and it was full. So this is why you want to stop after each one and double check your fluid level. I'll top it off here with a little bit more in just a little bit. And make sure that you don't run dry in your reservoir. So now, let's take a look at the rear just to show you what it looks like. It's very, very similar to the front. Let me grab a flashlight, sorry. There we go. Same thing. These guys just hang out in the factory location. Sorry, let me see if I can... There we go. How about that? Looks just like the factory ones, have a little cover just to keep the dust out. Works exactly the same way. I'm not going to do it on this one just because it's going to be pretty boring to show you on each corner. But same process, very easy, very simple to use. Now, let's also show you the clutch, because a lot of the questions that we got were also pertaining to the clutch slave cylinder. So I'm going to put this up in the air, cover your ears, caution for headphone users. Right. So, just like your brake calipers on your slave cylinder, probably better to get a shot at it from, actually, stick the camera up over here if you would. You can kind of see, I'll stick my finger through on this end. I'll get the bleeder right here. So this is the bleeder for the slave cylinder, and it's the exact same setup as the front and rear calipers, but these guys are a slightly different thread, and we do carry the different threads for the different bleeders. So actually that's a good segue, because the bleeders that are used in the front brakes are likely going to be a different size thread or size screw in the rear caliper, as well as for the slave cylinder for your clutch. And we've got one for all of the applications. If you've got stock calipers like these guys, if you've got Willwoods, we have ones that suit the Willwood calipers because they are different. And then we have ones that suit the slave cylinders. Now, all of these guys, they are sold in pairs. So if you want to get one for your slave cylinder, unfortunately, you do end up with a spare. That's kind of a good thing, though, because if you got a buddy that you're trying to convince to make it easier if he brings you over to help him bleed his slave cylinder on his clutch, you can throw one of these in there and just make it much easier for both of you. So they are sold in pairs, though. So you'd get a pair for the front, a pair for the rear if you wanted to, and then you get an extra pair for the slave cylinder if you wanted to do that. I find that it is immensely helpful. Makes the job much, much easier. Again, you can do it all on your own. You don't have to have somebody there doing the pedal work for you. That way it's just easy peasy. So that's pretty much it. It's a very simple process to be able to do it. I've got all kinds of trash in my car. Sorry about that. Let's answer some more questions, since we had some more questions about these kits. So one of the questions is if they are as airtight / watertight. We're just going to say, do they let anything past the threads or past that check valve any worse than the stock bleeders do? And the answer is no, they shouldn't. Now, if you've got a problem with one, if it's been damaged, or if you have used it a whole bunch and you've really worn off the thread paste here, you may need to pull it out, clean it up, and apply some new thread paste. So if that's the case, if you're getting, when you loosen it, about a half a turn, quarter turn, half turn, and it does start weeping, it's probably that you've used them enough times that you need to pull them out, clean them up, apply some new thread paste. But other than that, no, these guys are very reliable. I do use these in my car that sees plenty of street time and plenty of track time, so lots of high temperatures, and they tend to hold up just fine. I haven't had any trouble with them all. The one good thing that I'll mention for the track rats out there is that if you do have a car that sees really hot brake temperatures and you're constantly boiling your fluid and you need to be able to bleed your brake fluid in between sessions, these are invaluable because you can pop up a corner of the car, you can bleed it real quick, and you can be done much, much sooner than you would with a traditional, two-person brake job. And they're a lot less messy than even just if you've got a vacuum bleeder. Those are handy too, but these are very, very simple, very low effort. Another question that we got was, how often should you be replacing your fluids? So this is a bit of a variable question, or at least the answer is variable, because if it's a normal street car, your fluid is not going to be degraded as much or as quickly as if it were a track car that's spending lots of time out on the course getting the brakes and the fluid very, very hot, and that does degrade the quality of the fluid quicker than if it's just driven normally and the temperatures don't get so hot. So if it's a street car, basically, I believe Mazda has some recommendations in their owner's manuals about it, but I generally tend to try to do it at least once a year for a street car. If you are driving your car to the track on the weekends as kind of a dual-purpose toy, then you may want to do it more often, probably more like every 6 months or so. If this is a heavily used track car, you'll probably be better off switching out your fluid every session if you need to, if you're getting that hot. Most people, though, if it's not a car that, if you've got good ducting to your brakes, you may need to do it once every time that you go out to the racetrack, and that's usually fine. Again, the amounts that you'll be doing it will be dependent upon your situation. Other than that, these are pretty simple, straightforward. I think that I've actually already talked about these other ones. So, yeah, if there are any other questions, I'll go to the comment section real quick and see if we've got anything that I haven't already answered. And I'm getting a shake. No? Okay. So, if I didn't answer a question in the video talking about these brake bleeders, then please let us know down in the comments and we will get to it after the video's been posted. This will be, of course, on our Facebook page as well as on YouTube. So, any other questions, please let us know. We'd be happy to talk to you more about the speed bleeders. I cannot recommend these enough. Super, super handy thing. They're not as exciting as maybe a turbo or a supercharger, I suppose, but for making your life really easy for the kind of mundane maintenance stuff that most people don't like, this just makes it so much easier. So, excellent, excellent product. Highly recommended. If you have questions about applications or fitment, please check the website. And we do have a lot of notes about which ones will fit which applications. We'll put the link down in the description below, so that way you can access that product listing on our website to see all the details. And of course, if you don't find your answer there, feel free to give us a call, send us an email, message us on Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, and we'd be happy to help you out as much as we can there too. So, thanks again for watching. We certainly appreciate it, and we will see you next week. We have a bit of a special going on next week. If you haven't already heard, make sure to tune in on June 12th. We're actually doing a weekend session because it's our virtual summer camp. So, and unlike years prior that we've done in-person summer camp, because there's all of the craziness that's been going on, of course, we're going to be doing a virtual summer camp. But we still want to bring all the same great content that you're used to if you attended any of our summer camps in the past. We'll be talking about plenty of Miata stuff, of course, lots of tech talk, lots of interesting tidbits. We'll be talking about products, and we'll also take you on a few drives around the local area, so that way you're not missing out on any of the experience that you'd normally have otherwise. This is also a great opportunity that if you haven't been able to attend a summer camp in the past, you'll be able to do it from the comfort of your own couch at home. So make sure to tune in next Saturday. That's June 12th. So that way we can get you educated on a lot of Miata stuff, and hopefully you enjoy a lot of the content and let us know what you think. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, guys.